Hi, welcome to the Sales Strategies for Christian Coaches podcast. I'm Justin Janowski, your host, and I started my Christian coaching business in December of 2018, just hoping to make it. Like many of our listeners, I was tossing and turning, wondering whether or not I was good enough, wondering whether or not I could actually do this. And besides that, I was really stressed out about all the complicated strategies in the marketplace, and it felt like so much to take on. I knew I needed a simplified strategy, and I needed to surrender to God, and that's what I did, and I collected over $250,000 in revenue my first year in business. Now I'm helping other coaches do the same, and this podcast is about helping you with your signature offers and pricing, your mindset around sales and money, and your sales and marketing strategies that are high integrity and actually work. Thank you for joining us in today's episode. I have a special guest today. It's Ron Graziano, and I met Ron at an event in Chicago a few months ago. He was one of the speakers. In fact, they had like 15 speakers there, and Ron, next to Tom Ziegler, Ron was the speaker that resonated with me the most. I just loved his presence. He had a great power. He's a great speaker. He's got a wonderful story, and he's just an incredible leader. If you've ever met a natural leader, that's Ron. Today, we're going to talk about building your personal brand. And one of the things that Ron shared with me in the opening of this was that he wants to help people become so well known that nobody can ignore you. That's how you want to build your personal brand. When I asked Ron how I should introduce him, he said, just tell him I'm your friend. I like that. Keep it simple. He's humble while having a tremendous amount of success. He also helps people with developing an AI receptionist to get leads on autopilot. He's a disc profile expert. He helps people with personal brand audits. He's got a gift for all of you we're going to share later. Ron, thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Hey, Justin, thanks for having me. You know, I've never shared something with you. You know, you tell your Cutco knife story.
Yes.
And you know, if you had something to compare Cutco knife experience to, I have to tell you, my first job after coming off active duty military, 6.5 years, but my break in service between the Army and the Coast Guard, I had about a 10-month break in service. I sold Kirby vacuum cleaners.
Yes. Yes.
So I've been in those rooms. I know what it's like when you get the pin with the diamond and then the emerald, and then you get the pins and everybody's walking around with all their pins. I've been there. I know what it's like. And I know that struggle is real, going door to door, going into people's homes and selling them something. And there's nothing more difficult than going into somebody's home, talking to somebody, thinking like as if she was your grandmother, and telling her how dirty her carpet was and getting her to buy a cleaner.
You know, direct sales has been such a great proving ground for entrepreneurship. It's such a great place to start and to learn and to get beat up a little bit and to get the lessons from that. Some of our listeners probably have a background in direct sales and they got a leg up. Others don't, in which case you're going to experience that as an entrepreneur and getting started in sales. Ron, I know we've got a lot of interesting things to talk about. I'd love to hear your story, though, and just share, what's the 3-minute version of how Ron got to where he is today as a successful entrepreneur and leader?
Wow. So some of it was by default and just being in situations and, you know, I can't talk enough about my first 11 and a half years of my adult life has created the DNA that I have today. Right. And that first 11 and a half years of active duty military service, I went on active duty at 17 years old. 5 days after high school, I graduated high school. 5 days later, I was on my first plane ride out of New York. And my life changed, but I grew up the oldest of 5. So again, I think that was part of my DNA. I think on the leadership side, the servant leadership side, I've been serving people my entire life. So I think that's where I got my start. And so that's what it always ties back to: how can I serve others and how can I help others get the things that they want and they need to be successful the way they want them, how they want them, based on the scale and the measurement that they see as success.
Yeah, so good. What did you learn about sales, selling Kirby vacuums, and or afterwards in your other entrepreneurial ventures? Can you give us 1 or 2 tips? This is a Sales Strategies for Christian Coaches podcast. 1 or 2 actionable tips around sales for our audience.
Yeah, if I can say one thing, you know, I'm a John Maxwell coach, and John, you know, the Maxwell system talks a lot. Maxwell method of leadership, Maxwell method of selling talks a lot about building connections. You have to build connections. People, you know, the 3 things, right? People shift from a sell. Here's what I learned. Here's what the major shift for me, Justin. I shift from focusing on sales tactics to understand customer behavior. Okay. And when I put myself on the other side, that's what really shifted for me. So if I can say anything, if people are feeling really sleazy when selling, then stop selling. Start connecting and start serving, and find a way to serve the people that you're sitting across from. That's it, right? I mean, that's the key.
I love this. So what I'm writing down, I'm taking notes myself here, is customer behavior. Focus on customer behavior instead of sales tactics. And it was really like leaning in service. Talk to us about customer behavior a little bit. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's the neuroscience, right? So my second business was a brick and mortar business, which was a martial arts school. So I spent 7.5 years, 5 days a week, working with children as young as 3 years old, kids 7 to 10, teens, tweens, and adults in a family environment. And when you start really understanding the neuroscience and the brain biology behind it, building that connection and serving. So here's the three things that we learn, right? The customer needs to know that you care about them. So it's basic things. How do you know they care? You use their name. You ask them questions, right? You use active listening. Key to active listening, right? Tell me more. You want to be a great active listener? Use that. Insert that phrase in conversations. Tell me more. Help me understand that, right? Tell me more. Help me understand that. That tells people that you're truly listening to what they're talking about. And at the core, the next thing, people need to know that you have something they need. Justin, can I talk about the difference between needs and wants really quick? I'll make it really short, because there's two schools of thought. And the other thing you'll find is that often I will take a contrarian view to things. So sometimes people see me as a little bit confrontational, but it's not meant to be confrontation at all. So here, needs and wants. Think needs have a direct measurable result. Needs, direct measurable result. Wants are emotional based. When I want something, it's emotionally driven. When I need something, I'm looking for a direct measurable result. So there's that piece. The second one is, people need to know you have something they need, right? And the third one is trust. They have to be able to trust you so that, that they're willing to give you your money.
Awesome. I love it. You're dropping some gold here in sales. And so one of the things Ron said is, tell me more, which is one of my favorite phrases too. And I think like people who embrace sales, like they get what I like about it is the directiveness. So instead of asking a question, you're actually making a statement, and there's a light authority to it, but it's a loving tone and everything else. For me, it's like, interesting. Tell me more about that. And it's so, I think that people respond well to that. You also said, help me understand that. These are such good questions. And then the other thing that Ron shared here is needs. Needs are direct and measurable results. And so when we think about like developing your mission statement, like what do you do? What problem do you solve that is direct and can be measured, that people are going to be like, oh yeah, I need to solve that problem. And it's clear so that they can say yes to it. And of course, that needs to come through in the sales conversation. Such great feedback here. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, Justin, you have this basic conversation constantly in sales. Don't sell features, sell benefits, right? Don't sell features, sell benefits. Don't sell features. I would say that I have learned not even benefits, solutions. Yeah. Offer solutions to people's problems. That's what they really want, right? So sometimes the difference between a feature and a benefit is a benefit sometimes is a more long-term outcome. People want short-term outcome. So that's a consumer behavior piece, right? Speed. Everything operates with much speed now, right? So the consumer is much more educated. They have access to resources they've never had before. And they're going to fact check you. They're going to research you. They're going to check you out. And that's why building your personal brand with an extended digital footprint is so important in today's environment.
Yeah, solutions and outcomes. Okay, that's a good segue to the personal brand. So talk to us about what a personal brand is and why it's important.
So what is a personal brand? Your personal brand communicates to the customer what they should expect from you. It speaks with foundation of authority. It should be trustworthy. It should be credible in the marketplace. But most important, it must be known. Your brand needs to be known. And that's where we get that best known beats best. So many entrepreneurs fall into the pitfall is I have to be best before I can start. I have to be perfect before I can start. Start dirty, start ugly, figure it out.
Yeah, just get yourself in front of people consistently, the same way over and over, like, to become known. Here's the problem I see a lot of entrepreneurs make is they're doing 10 different things and they're confusing online. People aren't exactly sure what they're doing. And once you reach a certain level of success, then absolutely, like, moving into other lanes makes sense. And it's like diversification almost, right? But for the new entrepreneur, the new coach, we need a consistent message again and again and again and again so that people remember what we do. We become best known. I love that. Best known beats best. And you don't need to be best known to everyone in the world. You need to be best known to your tribe, to your audience, to the people who know you. And so for us to show up that way is so valuable. How can somebody show up in their personal brand in a way that's attractive and magnetic to their audience?
Yeah, that's great. A lot is going on in the marketplace right now about attraction marketing, right? So if you think about websites, when websites first came out, that was still a destination marketing tool, right? Destination marketing. And then social media came out and we started with this interruption marketing, right? We want to interrupt the scroll and interrupt the feed. Now we're moving to this phase of attraction marketing. And here's something that I've learned in the 25 years of building brands. I'm launching my 5th brand. Okay. I sold my first 2 companies. I'm operating 2 brands right now and I'm launching a 5th brand. So here's the thing. When you're starting out very early, your avatar is important, but know that the customer is always right, but it doesn't make them the right customer for you. And building your customer base is so important when you're building your brand. So I think that's what it's about. Really attracting people to you and knowing that sometimes when you attract people to you, you're not going to be able to serve everybody. I think that's the other pitfall. As a solopreneur, you get caught up in, I can't let this deal get away. I need every single deal. And there's some truth to that depending on the space you're in. For coaches, I don't think so. Not my experience, just not my experience.
No, narrowing the niche, finding your ideal prospect that you can absolutely serve and not working with people who are going to drain your energy and make it harder for you to serve everybody else. And yeah, that's a huge mistake we see is that people try to serve everybody. They don't want to leave anybody out. It's like this place of service and generosity and love, and they want to help everybody, but no one person's going to help everybody. And so we need to find our tribe and find our most ideal client. Win-win or no deal. I love that.
And it's that scarcity mindset. It's that scarcity mindset connected to imposter syndrome that makes people feel like they have to capitulate, right? So I say I love the C's, right? Compassionate, caring, collaborative, cooperative, but I will not capitulate. And solopreneurs, sometimes they will capitulate and deviate from what their real purpose is to appease somebody else because they don't want to offend somebody by feeling too pushy or sleazy. I didn't want to push them.
That's right.
But you're the expert. If you're a coach, you are the expert. People hire coaches because they want somebody to help them move further and faster. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So my audience is smarter than I am, but fill me in. What's capitulate?
So capitulate. Wow. Capitulate is when I give up my own personal values to accommodate somebody else.
This is important. Not to give up our own personal values to appease somebody else and what we think they want, to remain ourselves, to remain authentic, to hold the ground on like what we care about and how we show up and what our processes is. This is so important. And to do that, we need to be able to know ourselves, right? And so I know that you're big into the DISC profile. Talk to me about DISC and talk to me about in general, like knowing ourselves. What's that mean?
Yeah. So, what we say in the Maxwell DISC method is know yourself to grow yourself. And I would tell you, that I know that I've went through several different seasons of my life. The person I am today is not exactly the person I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and will not be the person I'll be 10 years from now. So understanding, there's certain things that are baked into you, right? Let's call it baked into you, right? And basically in the DISC system, we have those 4 components, right? Direct, driven, influencer, stable, and compliant, right? DISC, stable and compliant. So I'm a CDS, and what a CDS means is I'm really driven by data. I'm driven by results, and I'm very stable and consistent. And I almost have no I in there, but yet I'm very personable. And people say, "How are you not an influencer? How do you have an influencer?" So that's just a piece. And so what this helps people do is know what their style is. But the key to DISC is not just knowing yourself. It's being able to identify other people's styles and meeting them where they are to build that connection.
Yeah, interesting. I'm a high I, by the way. High I.
I can see it all in you.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun, and we probably complement each other well because of the differing ways that we work and show up. Okay, so you have a gift, and I have a few more questions for you, I think, but you have a gift you want to offer everybody, and it's a personal brand audit. And I know that this is something that you're willing to give to people for free, and like spend some time with them working on their personal brand, giving them some feedback on their personal brand, and then like if they want to take the DISC profile, you're a great resource for that. You can get great feedback. You can help them understand themselves and learn how to understand others. So there's a kind of a process here. But how can somebody get that personal brand audit with you if they're interested in like checking in? How am I doing so far?
So on the personal branding side, I launched a business in November called Impact Flow. Impact Flow is all designed to be marketing solution for leaders. That's what it is, right? So we start out with helping entrepreneurs, because I saw so many of this situation when I was coaching entrepreneurs in the martial arts space and just coaching over the last 5 years working with business owners. So impactflowhq.com. ImpactFlowHQ.com is the website. If they go to ImpactFlowHQ.com, they're going to see what the services are that we offer, how we automate, how we do all this stuff. But at the very bottom, they're going to get an opportunity to sign up for a personal branding audit. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the 5 areas that are specific to growing and building a digital footprint. We're going to give you a results report on that, and we're going to give you some solutions on what are some of the things that you probably should spend your time on.
Super cool. Man, Ron, you're getting me kind of interested. I think I might head over to impactflowhq.com. I want to know what my results are. I kind of like things that are going to give me a score or results or tell me what I need to work on. That's really cool. Impactflowhq.com. Okay, I do want to talk about one more thing before we wrap up. And it's not necessarily going to be for every one of our listeners. Some are very new and they're not ready necessarily for this. Some, though, more established businesses would be very interested in what you're talking about, an AI receptionist to get your leads on autopilot. I'm very curious about that. Tell us more.
Yeah, and so this is the piece, right? So when I launched the agency and I knew I wanted to bring marketing tools and resources to coaches, trainers, and speakers, I originally thought that AI was not even going to be on my radar. However, over the last 4 months, I've done a deep dive really into understanding how AI fits into the market space. So what an AI receptionist does, it provides you that 24-hour call service. It provides you, remember you mentioned consistency in the beginning? With an AI call receptionist, you're going to get consistent messaging every single time in your brand voice. Now, here's one of the things we don't want to do. We can clone voices. Do not clone the voice. We don't want to be circuitous. We don't want to hide the fact that they're talking to an AI agent. 83% of the people who are booking appointments say that they don't mind booking appointments with an AI agent because they want to get to the human faster. So that's what we do. We use the AI agent to be that receptionist to pre-qualify and disqualify clients. And Ron, people say, Ron, why would you want to disqualify a client? Because anything we can do to minimize the negative experience improves our brand trust value. So that's how we're using it. We're using it to pre-qual, disqualify, get them to appointments quicker in your brand voice, the specific questions that you want, speaking about your brand consistently every single time. They don't get sick. They don't have bad days. We don't have to worry about their emotional capacity. And people are becoming more accustomed because they want to move faster in the process.
Amazing. Ron Graziano, interested and like well-versed in so many amazing areas of business. People need to follow you, Ron, and pay attention. Head over to impactflowhq.com to learn more about all these things. Thank you so much for a great conversation and being a guest today. And to everyone who's been listening today, if you love this podcast, subscribe to us. Subscribe on YouTube and give us a review on Apple Podcasts and support the growth of the podcast here. We appreciate you all. God bless you. See you next week. Thanks, Ron.